Peace and blessings. Welcome to Mental Wellness for the Culture. I am Belinda Gordon Battle, your host for Mental Wellness for the Culture. This is our opportunity to interact and engage in the path to mental wellness as a significant and essential part of our culture. Please like, share, and make comments as we present this season on mental wellness for the culture. I plan to speak to experts from our culture about creating and maintaining balance in life, resilience, trauma and domestic balance, the value of sisterhood and brotherhood, self care, the aging process, and Black love. We are talking about mental wellness for the culture. Today, in our midst, we have the great one, Uric J. Ackman. He is a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of KAI Wellness Center. He's been practicing in the mental health field since 2014. Please join me in welcoming Jay to our show today.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank
Jay.
you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are
Good.
you?
Good. Thank you so much. I had the opportunity to meet you during our pandemic. It
What a
was during that
pandemic.
time that I learned so much about you, and you were a part of our video compilation. I've got five on it, and that allowed us to spotlight Black and Brown licensed clinical therapists in South Florida. So good to continue working with you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this platform.
Absolutely. Please just take a minute and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your work, your passion.
Okay. So I've been in community mental health since about 2014. So that consists of me working with individuals with various backgrounds, and those individuals usually had severe mental illness. So we're talking about schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depressive disorders, other mood disorders, and things of that nature, and aiding them towards getting to a place of more independence. So started off as a group facilitator and worked my way up to eventually being a program director. And then from there, I decided, you know what, I want to work more intimately with individuals. I was missing that part of my career again. So I decided to open my own practice and begin working with men with various challenges, but primarily focusing on anxiety and depression with those individuals.
Absolutely. Those things are necessary and needed in our community. Within
Mhm.
this culture, we have realized that our Black men, our Black and Brown men, are often not participating. They are part of the community that may need the most support, but may also get the least amount of support. So if I said to you, Jay, you're a unicorn, what would that mean to you?
What it's come to mean to me is that a rare commodity, a thing that individual does not come across very easily. So, in my experience, in me usually being described as being a unicorn, it's the fact that I'm a male therapist. First off, and then we get into me being a black therapist, and then me getting into also being a of Haitian descent. So you have
Mm,
a black Haitian male therapist. There's not many of us in the field that I found. So with clients, when they come across me and they're like, "You're Haitian." Oh my God, like, all right, cool. Like, are you available? There's just usually a sort of excitement because it's not something that is easily found. We're around,
mhm.
but again, there's only so much of us out there doing
Yeah.
this sort of work.
Absolutely. There are a few, but not many. So it's not just the clients that get excited. I get excited when I see you. If we're out somewhere, I'm buying the first round just for Jay. So I'm glad to have you here today. We're talking today about relationships, healthy relationships, and what's required to cultivate healthy relationships. What are some of the tips that you would share with our audience to actually have and maintain healthy relationships?
One of the first things that comes to mind is honesty. And
Mm,
that means different things to different people, funny enough, right?
right.
But when I think of honesty, it's just being clear, being present, being open, being transparent
Hmm.
about things, even though they might seem hurtful, scary, uncomfortable in a
Yeah.
sense. Being able to take on the challenges with honesty. Honesty is not talking about the truth when it's easy. It's also talking about the truths when they're difficult. So yeah, these things might be hurtful, they might be painful in the beginning, but I think that most of us appreciate an honesty at some part down the line
Yeah.
when someone is, hey, this is the way that things are, this is the way I perceive things,
Right.
and I mean that. So we change as we know, but there's a consistency that
Hmm.
comes with being honest that a lot of us require. So
Yeah.
that's what comes to mind for me. And then we move into things like vulnerability, which is related to honesty. And
Hmm.
vulnerability, again, for me, means being able to let down your guard. And this is what it is. Like, this is how I'm coming, I'm presenting myself to the world, to other individuals, for myself. I'm showing up for myself. So we usually have a connotation that vulnerability means like a weakness, like I'm
Hmm.
vulnerable, like, the soft side of my belly is showing.
Right.
But there's a strength that comes with that because it's not easy to be vulnerable.
Yes.
It's easier to go the opposite of that, which is to hide and avoid and put on a mask for certain things that we're going through. But that vulnerability is also important.
I agree. I think that's so important. And I think about honesty and being, um, I remember that parable, The Emperor Has No Clothes, where they
Mhm.
were able to actually see the emperor and all his finest of a completely without clothes. How are we in our community when it comes to making sure we are mentally well? How are we presenting honesty in the world? Are we actually walking without our mask out in this world and developing relationships, intimate relationships, friendships, our family, the relationships within our family? Do you see us doing that right now?
Did we ever? Becomes the
Great
question.
question.
Yeah, so I think it's changed. I think we're more in the direction of hiding behind things.
Mhm.
It makes it easier
Yeah.
to put on a front for certain things. There's almost a social currency that you have to
Hmm.
put on these fronts because we're on this grand stage, or we feel more than ever that people are watching. There is an audience that's constantly there that we tell this ourselves. There's an audience that's constantly there. And for most people, I would want to say at some area in their life, there's a bit of pretending,
Hmm.
a bit of a show that a person's putting on. So they're happier than they present. They're more exciting or interesting than they put on and do certain things to portray certain things or
Yeah.
whatever image that they're trying to have the greater world see. I
Yes.
think makes it a little bit difficult for people to show up as their honest, authentic selves.
Hmm. Yeah. I think you're right. I believe the same thing that oftentimes people are presenting like they are on a show because I think that's related to social media.
Hmm.
And the possibility is that I could
Hmm.
be video taped and placed on your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook at any moment. The
Hmm.
possibility is that maybe I cannot be my authentic self
Hmm.
because maybe you will not accept me in this relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of like when I go, were we ever like that? Like I
Mhm.
remember my mom's not gonna, if she watches this, not gonna be happy. So like we have guests come over, and skin folk, right?
Right.
We got the everyday dishware, and then we got the fancy dishware right behind
Yes.
the glass and the whole camera tree situation. So when
Yes.
guests came out, you had the gold rimmed
Right. That's
glasses
right.
and all these other things that's going on. It's like, we don't eat off that stuff that like that. And then the tablecloth with change and all of that stuff too. And it's
Yes.
like, come on, man. Like we putting on a show. It's just too much to live like that every day,
Mhm.
at least, for our circumstances to be
Yes.
putting on that show. But um we are I want to say there's a lot of expectations, like keeping up
Mhm.
with the Joneses. I
Yeah.
think is an adage that we say a lot. Like we're doing the most.
Hmm. Hmm.
So my wife always tells me, like, I'll see a person in a certain car or whatever, and she's in finance, and it's like, hey, just because they're in this particular car and they're doing all these things,
Right.
you don't necessarily have it. There's a little thing called credit, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
people are harming themselves in a
Yeah.
sense to put on these images. I think happens a lot, and as you mentioned, the social media and all this other stuff just only
Mhm.
heightens that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when building healthy relationships, it's so important to get beyond that. What else can we do to make sure we're having healthy relationships out here, despite that urge to be somebody that we are not?
Hmm. Finding a community that accepts you.
Mm,
Um, we're not for everybody, and everybody's not for us.
yeah.
So when I think it becomes easier said than done.
I'm sorry. There's an emergency going on somewhere.
Yeah. Someone's gone missing. We gotta
Yeah.
find them right now. Um, so as I was saying, finding a community that accepts you, and
Mhm.
I think when we come to that realization, the easier things will become for us.
Yeah.
I think we have this notion of wanting to be accepted by people that don't necessarily have a business or want to accept us. Like
Mhm.
we're defective and something's wrong with us, so we have to ramp it up. They'll like me if I
Yes.
blank blank blank, and that blank 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 requires so much effort,
Absolutely.
and takes us again further away from our authentic self.
Hmm.
So it just becomes this exercise, this overexertion, and at the end of the day, for what? For something that may not be long lasting. So
Hmm.
in my own personal life, I've made sure that I'm around people that accept me for everything that I am, the
Right.
greatness that comes with me, and areas where I'm not necessarily the best, and love me at my best, love me at my essentially my worst,
Hmm.
as well. And I'm not always at my worst. I'm not always at my best, and they
Yes.
know how to deal with everything in between as well. So I
Absolutely.
think when that is available to people, great things in returns of relationships can happen.
Yeah, it sounds like that will lead you to a great outcome, but it
Mhm.
also sounds like self awareness is
Mhm.
important.
Wow. Yeah.
I have to know who I am in order for me to present myself in the community and actually find my tribe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you can vibe with people, but at the
Mhm.
end of the day, they're not really your tribe. They're just there for a moment,
Mhm.
and it's okay to have those type of relationships where we have a little bit in common, but I know how to enter and exit in order to save myself. So being aware of who I am,
Mhm.
what my own needs are, also seems like it's an important part for any relationship.
That introspection of yourself,
Mhm.
that relationship. Thank God I'm not the same person that I was when I was 22. Like
Yes.
great guy.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but
No, I heard some stories. I don't know, Jay. I've heard some things.
I can't run around being that 22-year-old and this time and place. You
Right.
change, you learn more,
Mm.
your circumstances around you may change as well. You gain wisdom, you gain patience, you gain understanding, you gain all types of different things. So, in that case, you might lose some people along the
Mhm.
way, and being okay with that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have a fear of loss, so we have to pretend and do these things to maintain relationships that are not necessarily the healthiest for where we're at our
Right.
lives. And that's a process, to
Yes, it
being able to
is.
let go of
Yeah.
relationships. It's a season for it.
It's a season for it. I like when you're talking about change, and I always think about evolution. Like I can
Mm,
evolve, but
mhm,
that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone around me is going to move at my same pace or even understand the direction I
mhm,
need to move in.
mhm,
And I have to allow myself to have that loss,
mhm,
to grow from that experience, to grow from that loss. So I like to just change loss into growth. It hurts, it's
I like
painful,
that.
but in order for me to grow, I must this pain has to be temporary,
Mhm.
and I have to be able to see the outcome of it. Um, where do our black men go to find their tribe? What are they
That's
doing these days? Because I'm a black woman. I don't know what
uh,
y'all are doing. I mean, I can tell y'all where I see you. I can tell you where I see you. You know,
what do you see us?
this is Miami. Y'all know where y'all go in Miami.
Oh, okay.
The office is busy. The office is
The
busy.
office is busy. Okay, we're talking in code. All right,
Okay,
yeah.
I like to see rolls.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So I see you. But
Um,
what are we
mhm.
doing? What are we doing that's healthy in our culture to make sure that our men, our black men, are finding mental wellness amongst each other?
Yeah. So within my clients, what I'm learning is some people are involved in mentorship groups.
Mm,
So they're trying to build, not even trying, they are building together. So it'll be people who are in the same age bracket, be individuals who have more experience and have gone through certain things, and giving back to a single person or a community. Like, hey, we're going to go to this particular area, we're going to be handing out workbooks or whatever during the
mhm,
pandemic, for these
mm,
kids who were struggling, actually making a difference within their communities, and programs of that nature, where they're involved in doing something that has a greater impact instead of going to the office, as Belinda mentioned, which is funny. Uh, the pillar of our community, for most of our community, being Black and Brown people, places of worship.
mm.
So finding different programs and things that are needed within that community, has been great for individuals to cope and be in a healthy place. Uh, Different exercise, physical health related things. So with my friends, I tell people, um, I play some very bad basketball, once a week or whenever it is that I have it in my schedule
Yes.
to be able to do that. And then being in that activity, there's some guys at the park that you'll run into, uh, and in between games, you might have some conversation and
Mhm.
things go well. So that's a great point that you made. So what I find is that after the age of 25 or so, it becomes very difficult to make friends. You're no longer in
Mm.
school. You've had some experiences and things of that nature, and as you talked about, you had your season where you may have lost some people. So
Right.
it's like, all right, who are these new people that are going to come into our lives if we're busy doing the the things that are, sort of prescribed to us, which
Right.
is, work hard, pay attention to your significant other,
Hmm.
uh, make sure you're getting into a place of your career, financial stability, if I didn't already mention that, and starting to build your family in terms of children or whatever that might be. So outside
Hmm.
of that, like, where does the socialization come in that is healthy,
Yes.
for us? So um, there's a whole litany of other things that individuals can do, but like I said, mentorship programs, community, uh, religious
Right.
places of worship, and then just being involved in things that are recreational and fun.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
paintballing, bowling, golfing, whatever it might be. If you're
Hmm.
in these spaces enough, you might have some commonalities, at least in that one area, with those things that I mentioned.
Yeah. And that gives you the opportunity to have those healthy relationships and those shared experiences.
Hmm.
That is so important. I never thought about the age being an issue. Like you get to a certain stage and point in your life and you're not in school and you don't have that free
Hmm.
time, I guess you could say, because you have
Hmm.
responsibilities. And so if you have not established those firm relationships before
Hmm.
25, before 28,
Hmm.
um, I see where the sense of singleness or loneliness or not having anyone to confide in that may be like you. You may have a spouse, but
Hmm.
that's not the same as having someone that can sit down and talk to you on your same level. So that
Absolutely.
is something that we have to take into consideration. When I say me, I mean all of us in our community, um, in our culture. What do we do? How do we make sure that there's a soft place to land
Hmm.
um, for people that we care about, that we know need to be in healthy relationships? So I think, that's a great point that you did bring to our attention. I was joking about The Office. I was joking about Tootsie's a little bit,
A
but
little bit.
a little bit.
A little
But it
bit.
made me also think about, are you a part of the D9? Are you Greek, as they
No.
say?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
It also made me think about organizations in our community,
Mhm.
like the Divine Nine, as far as the fraternities in our community. Um, when I was in Maryland, I know within the church there was a big segment of Black men. I don't know the name of the subgroup, but it was part of the church. But they had their own time together,
Yeah.
on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that they actually appreciated and
Hmm.
made it a part of their weekly schedule to make
Hmm.
sure that they could be there for those events. And that was part of their healthy relationships.
Hmm. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What can we do as parents to support our children, especially our Black boys, in developing and maintaining healthy relationships so they don't get to that 25-year point and realize they don't have that in their life?
One thing that comes to my mind immediately is listen.
Mm, yeah.
Just listen. I remember growing up, and within my culture, like there is a reverence for older individuals in a sense that you're seen, not heard.
Yeah.
This is what I laid out for you. This is what you do, and your feelings and things of that nature that go outside of what has again been prescribed to you, laid in front of you. If you have opinions or feelings that contradict that,
Hmm.
we don't want to hear it.
Mm,
So I think for our families, individuals that are aiding individuals in rearing up children, young men, it's important to listen.
yeah.
May not completely understand, but the power of listening is just so important. And in that listening, you get to learn a little bit more. I don't know if you can ever really truly understand sometimes, but
Hmm.
you'll learn a whole lot more than you did before, and it'll hopefully make the relationship a little bit better, as you're learning and becoming more accepting and things of that nature. And for the person who gets to speak, the young man,
Hmm.
they learn that they have an area of trust where they're not going to be judged, they're not going to be met with negative uh, reinforcement in a sense, like
Hmm.
be shut down, ignored, or
Hmm.
anything of that nature. Their voices actually has some weight.
Hmm.
and they feel a little bit more comfortable and confident in being able to express these things.
Yeah.
So, what some of the behaviors that you alluded to some extent, um, it is a matter of, I believe, lack of confidence,
Mm.
and that, and where does that sort of um, come from? And I think it's from our familiar relationships and the support that we have around us, where people um, can't accept us and listen to what we have to say as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is so powerful. Just the fact that if we could just listen, just being able to listen to our boys and our girls
Hmm.
can actually have a profound effect, a long term effect on our relationships as young people, but also building healthy relationships as adults. I am excited to share that and continue that and practice that, the listening
Hmm.
aspect of having healthy relationships. Mental wellness for the culture allows us to take a step back, see what our needs are, and get some expert advice. You have done that for us today, Jay. Are there any last thoughts that you could add to share with us about healthy relationships?
I think we talked about a lot of them. So just being aware of the honesty, the vulnerability, the communication, the respect, the trust,
Yeah.
allowing ourselves to be affectionate in our own ways and communicating our need for it, and just being aware of our own personal identities. And I think we're going to be in a great space if we're able
Yes,
to do some of those things, if not more.
absolutely. Thank you for cultivating this relationship with me today. Would you be honest with me about a few things, though?
I'll try.
Get ready. Quick fire
Uh,
questions.
let's go.
What's your favorite juice?
Juice, passion fruit.
Passion fruit. That's so Haitian.
Okay.
I never even had passion fruit until a
It's so
Haitian,
delicious.
a wonderful Haitian lady, I'm not gonna say her name on air, gave me passion fruit. But I'm from Virginia and never had tasted passion fruit,
Oh,
so
so good.
it's so good. Yes, you're right. Your favorite cookie?
Favorite cookie? Peanut butter.
Peanut
Yeah.
butter. Oh,
Yeah.
you can't eat cookies together. Your
No.
favorite cake? No.
Favorite cake? Rum cake.
Okay, okay, okay. We could
Yeah.
do that. We could do that. Share with me the best trip you've ever taken and why.
Turks and Caicos.
Hmm.
Turks
Why?
and
What
Caicos.
happened? What made
Yeah.
it special?
Just the people, the island itself, just like their vibe and just the beauty of the islands. We have plenty of beautiful islands, definitely, but just how everything was just sort of laid out and just serene and peaceful in a way that I didn't experience anywhere else, and just very memorable in that sense.
Well, thank you. Thank you for those honest answers to cultivate our relationship. Thank you for coming on to Mental Wellness for the Culture. You are my brother in the
Thank
field
you.
of mental health. I welcome you to this family here, and please be prepared to come again at any time.
I
Thank
will.
you for everyone that came on today to listen to us talk about healthy relationships. Please take some time to like, share, comment, and implement some of the strategies and techniques and interventions that you heard today. We look forward to hearing from you. We will see you next Monday at 12 noon. Thank you.